When you first get to RTC Great Lakes, which is the U.S. Navy's boot camp, you're going to be staying at the USS Pearl Harbor, which is the first building or ship that you're going to be staying in. And there the food is really going to be kind of hit or miss. So what's going to happen is your division is going to line up on both sides of the compartment, which is the room that you're staying in, and you get ready to go to the cafeteria, which the Navy calls the galley. In my division, the MA would pick which side of the compartment would go first to the galley based on which side was quieter. So you have 70 to 80 people all lined up. They all just want to go eat at the cafeteria, the galley. But for some reason, some of them want to keep talking and just can't shut up. So whichever side is quieter is the one that's going to go first. So if there's people on your side of the room that keep talking, the best thing you can do is just don't sit there and start yelling at them to be quieter, because that just makes more noise. What you can do is just go like this, and try to quiet them down without actually yelling at them or making more noise in the process. Even if only a few people are mumbling or whispering or talking, it's very, very loud because there's so many people that want to be the only person talking, but it turns out to be 15 people running their mouths. And because it echoes off the walls and there's just so many people that even a little bit of noise makes a lot of noise and it makes everybody annoyed. Just don't talk and you're going to get to the cafeteria faster. You have more time to eat. Anyways, once we finally start moving, we're going to be walking single file out the doorway towards the cafeteria, the galley. And God help you if you're caught smiling, laughing, or talking in the P-way. They might not get you right at the cafeteria or on the way there, but they're going to talk about it once you get back, and really bad things are going to happen to you, maybe the whole division because of you. So once you're walking down the P-way, just walk straight, look straight. Even if someone tries to talk to you that's another recruit, just ignore them, keep walking, don't smile, don't laugh, don't do anything, because it's all going to come back down to you. Anyways, both sides of your compartment are going to meet up outside the galley. Your RPOC is there and the RDCs are going to catch up. Now RPOC is going to be in control of the division at this point, and he or she is going to instruct everybody to what's going to happen, like what table they're going to sit at, which lines they're going to go to. And they get somebody to hold the door and everybody files in. Now the point of the 2 lines back at the compartment is also for the 2 lunch lines in the cafeteria, in the galley. So they're going to come in like this and then split off and then meet up again and then go out into the middle and then sit down at the table. It's very methodical. After both sides go into the compartment, the person holding the door is going to be the last person to actually go in and eat. And that person is going to be relieved by RPOC or AROC. When the last person sits down, the time begins for the time limit to eat before you are forced to get up and throw everything that's left over away and head back. So now you're going to be standing inside, you're going to be standing in line, and once again, while you're in line, no talking, no smiling, no laughing. If they see a couple models going like this from across the room, because they are going to be watching you off and on, if they see a couple models going like this and smiling, it's like, they might walk over and be like, hey, what's so funny? What are we talking about over here? And it's like, oh man, I can't believe this. But stay quiet, and up on the wall, you're going to see the TV. It's going to be displaying the menu for the day, and it's going to have some pretty typical options on there we're going to go through. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the lines are going to break off and go into 2 different directions. It's possible that one lunch line has something that the other lunch line doesn't have, like a certain entree or a certain side that you want. I think it's too risky to try to change lines or go back up with a full tray of food to the other line and try to get something that you don't have. It's going to make you look like you think you're special or different. That's what they hate in RTC. Just whatever your line has, you can live with it. It's not going to be drastically different than the other side, but it is possible that one line has something that the other line doesn't have. But don't let it bother you. Just get what you can get and sit down. So a typical day at RTC, on the menu, you're going to be looking at some kind of chicken and some kind of fish, like baked fish, chicken teriyaki, chicken tandoori, chicken whatever, stuff like that. So out of the 2 options, the fish are a pretty solid bet, but you got to be careful with the chicken because I'm not a big believer in medium rare chicken. Suffice it to say, getting sick in boot camp is not fun. It's also really likely there's going to be like a beef option or some pasta, and there's always going to be vegetarian options and vegetables. There's also going to be a lot of rice, so I hope you like rice. Now before I got there, I was really expecting like prison or jail food, and I was really pleasantly surprised by how good of a quality it was. I guess with all the calories you're burning, they want all the recruits to be really well fed and energized for everything they're going through. Really what I can tell you is that boot camp food is going to be better than you expect. Now towards the end of the line, there's going to be some dessert options. There might be some ice cream or cakes or cookies or something like that. when you're early in training, do not touch them, do not look at them. If the RDCs find out that you are taking them and eating them or trying to put them into your pockets for later or something, you and or your entire division is going to have to pay for that. And I don't mean pay for that with money, I mean pay for that with push-ups and all that stuff. Now, the reason it's there is to tempt you. They want to see if you can exercise self-control and not take something that you know you're not supposed to take. You're not supposed to take desserts early in boot camp. Now, you might be wondering why it's there at all if you aren't allowed to take it. Well, number one, it's there to tempt you. Number two, other divisions in your ship, which is your building you're living in, are farther in training. And after the final fitness test, you are allowed to have desserts. So they're not going to constantly take it out and move it back in because one division is allowed to have it and the other one is not. You know, different divisions are coming through the same galley. So you're going to have these cookies on a tray sitting out. Do not take them if you know you aren't allowed to take them. But later on in training, you know, other divisions are allowed because they passed the final fitness test to take those cookies, take those ice cream cones or whatever they got. I never saw ice cream cones, but we did see the cookies. You know, you are allowed to have those cookies after you pass that assessment. But before that, don't touch them, don't look at them, don't even think about them. So for breakfast, I really survived on mini pancakes, the little packaged pancakes that come in a bag and are microwaved en masse. Other people survived on cereal and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They had waffles and French toast and stuff like that. It's better than you would expect, but at the same time lower quality than like you and I could make in a kitchen. Now they are going to have powdered eggs available, but I refuse to eat powdered eggs. I chose other options. I don't trust powdered eggs. I don't like them. I want real eggs. I want a bird involved in the production of my eggs. One guy in my division ate nothing but peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, 2 at a time for every single meal at RTC. Anyways, as for drinks, you're talking about like orange juice, white milk, chocolate milk. They had Powerade, they had water. But some people got tired of drinking the same things over and over and over again. So you might think this is a little bit off, but they started mixing things together. They took like Powerade and apple juice, and they took a cup and put it in between the two of them and mixed it. And it was like green. I never tried it. They thought it was wonderful, but when you get tired of drinking the same things over and over and over and over again, you know, they started to get creative. In my research and documentary watching before I joined the Navy, I saw a Coca-Cola label on a soda machine in the galley at RTC, and I thought, wow, this is going to be so wonderful. I get to drink soda during boot camp. Well, I went there, and in the galley, there was no soda machine, there was no Coca-Cola. There was Powerade at the USS Pearl Harbor, and I put my cup underneath the little nozzle, and I pressed it, and only a little bit of like light blue water came dribbling out, barely anything. And I'm like, oh man. Now, I thought that was just to tease me, to make me think that I could drink something sugary, but I actually wasn't able to. But in reality, what I think happened was that machine just ran out, because later on in boot camp, we did get blue Powerade. So in Navy boot camp, there's going to be no sodas, no soda machines, no Coca-Cola or anything like that. You're going to be stuck with Powerade and the healthy alternatives. So anyways, you finally picked all your food, you picked out your drinks, you didn't pick up any desserts, and you got your little tray, and you walk over and you sit down at your table. And once you sit down, again, don't talk, don't smile, don't laugh, because you're still being watched off and on. They're watching to see if any little models are talking. Now, what you can do is if you need a napkin, you can kind of come up with little hand motions to be like this. Somebody knows to hand you a napkin. You know, for peanut butter, it'd probably be something like this. We did like, hey, and somebody will throw a cup of peanut butter over to you, or jelly for your bread or whatever. But don't talk verbally. Don't start laughing and telling stories about whatever, because you're going to get caught. Now, in my division, did we talk at the lunch table? Yes. Did we also get caught talking at the lunch table and have to pay for it? Yes. Now, it is possible that you're going to be sitting there working on your food, you're eating your chicken tandoori, and all of a sudden someone to your left, a couple chairs down, is getting screamed at. Now, when that happens, don't show interest. Don't look over and try to find out what's happening. Don't show interest in something happening far away. It has nothing to do with you. Stick to your own tray, because if you start showing interest in what's happening over here, they're going to assume that you want some of whatever the other guy is getting. Someone might walk over and be like, are you interested in this? You know, did you have anything to do with this or that? And you didn't. Stick to your tray. The only thing that matters is your chicken tandoori, and you're going to avoid a lot of problems. One of the weirdest experiences I had at RTC was in the galley. I was sitting there like any other day, working on my food. and all of a sudden I felt like my leg was vibrating, like I got a text message. So I reached down, I reached into my pocket, and it's like, wait, we don't have our phones in boot camp. I haven't had my phone for weeks, but for some reason it felt like my leg vibrated, like I just got a text message. It was really strange. Now you're only allowed to have food in the galley. You're not allowed to bring food back to the compartment. But it's really tempting. You have 4 pockets on your pants. It's really tempting to try to take a granola bar and just pocket it, take a couple peanut butter cups and put those in your pockets and take them back to the compartment, eat them at midnight. But if you do that, you got a couple things to worry about. Number 1, you got snitches, and if they snitch on you, you're in big trouble. And number 2, if you have the wrappers, I mean, imagine you finish a granola bar, you still have the little plastic wrapper. What are you supposed to do with that? Now, you're supposed to just throw it away, right? Well, if you throw it into the garbage, they look in the garbage for things that are not supposed to be in there, like uniform items and food wrappers and stuff like that. So you can't do that. I would recommend that you don't break the rules on bringing food back to the compartment, because it's just going to make you in a lot of trouble and get your division in a lot of trouble. And again, everybody's going to have to pay for it and blame you. Anyways, your time to eat is now up. The RPOC is going to stand up. He or she is going to be at the end of the table and tell everybody on one side to stand up, grab their tray, do a facing movement, and start walking single file. You walk to the little window where you dump the tray out and then put it on the shelf, and then the other people are all going to do the same thing. Now on your way back to the compartment, you're kind of on your own again, but even though you're kind of individualized as opposed to walking in like a formation or something like you do outside, you should still maintain discipline. Again, don't talk, don't smile. The same thing as heading to the galley. If you're caught smiling, laughing, talking, and some chief or some petty officer sees that, it's not going to be a happy day for you. In my division, we finally got back to the compartment kind of one by one. We went into parade rest facing our racks and waited for everybody to come back and RPOC to come back. And once everybody came back, RPOC told us to go to attention and do an about face to face towards the interior of the compartment. And at that point, RPOC took control of the division again.